This beautifully decorated chair is made in honor of Krishnaji, who spoke here in 1932 against the backdrop of the great banyan tree. He said that he had arrived at a stage where he is the world teacher. And he brought a new way, a new path, an easier path than all the old paths. And by old paths he meant the path of worship to a deity, or the path of Buddha, following the Noble Eightfold Path, or any number of the paths given in the several religions by the various teachers. He said his was the easiest, shortest way to understand. And that was brought about by an observation of oneself, a choiceless observations. And in the very process of observing, without intervention of a teacher, without intervention of a human being, there would arise a change in the human being, and he would see the truth. And that was the direct perception of the truth, in which no teacher is required, no reading is required, no study is required, no nomenclature is required, no prayer is required. It is our everyday life in which there is the observation of what is of the truth. And that is the teaching that he gave for all to follow. And that is the spiritual understanding. But from a scientific understanding, the very observation in which there is empathy, in which there is a feeling of suffering for our fellow human beings, creates a change in oneself. The human genome is changed in that person who realizes the truth, and that truth is the ending of craving in himself, the ending of fear in himself, and the birth of love and joy. And with this love and joy he lives, and he gives it to all the people whom he meets. And that brings about a change in mankind. And as more and more people feel that, surely the world will become a different world. So the teaching was that this realization is not for the individual, but it is for the sake of mankind. That was a great change in the way in which people had been talking, because people said, it is for my salvation, it is for my soul. Not anymore. Firstly, you don't have a soul. You are just a creature brought by the humanity. And if that creature, if that individual will see the problem of humanity, if he can feel the suffering of humanity, and if he can see that it is caused by greed and fear, then the greed and fear will end in him by the very process of seeing it directly. This seat commemorates the place where J. Krishnamurti, or J. Krishnaji as he was called, held some of his lectures next to the banyan tree. I'll share with you something about his experience and life before I summarize his teachings. But let me add that his teachings are available in videos, CDs, audio tapes, and books. And it seems better that the listener reads those. But a summary might help you move towards those. Krishnaji, as he was called by those who knew him, died in 1986 at the age of 92. For 70 years, he traveled around the globe, mostly in the US, the UK, and in India. In 1926, he had an experience of the ultimate, and thereafter he said he was the world teacher. Describing that ultimate, he said, I was in everything, and everything was in me, both inanimate and animate. There was a profound calmness within myself. I would never be thirsty or never in darkness. I have touched compassion, which heals all sorrow and suffering. He said, since I have attained, I have seen that there is a shorter way, and I want you to develop your own strength, and you will not need any mediators, no gurus. The light of the goal will always guide you. He said he had arrived at the source of all energy, and then there was no division, no sense of the world or me, only this tremendous energy. It's pure energy from the beginning of time. This way leads to complete peace and love, and I would like others to reach it. He said for 70 years that immense energy, immense intelligence has been using his body. If they will somewhat live the teachings, then they may touch that immense energy. He said, I have found out the truth which the world is seeking and longing for. I have gone by the long road, but I see a shorter and more direct way. And you, from your complicated point of view, say, because you took the long way, so must I. Truth will come to you only when your mind and heart are simple, clear, and there is love in your heart. There is no path to truth. It must come to you. By giving it a name, we think we have understood. Observe your own mind. See to what depths it can go. Find out your own way of thinking. There is constant movement of discovery, the reading of your own mind, the whole vast structure of consciousness. All this without any motivation of gain. The mind must be entirely and deeply silent. The seeing is explosive, not reasoned. It is immediate. It is not calculated. It is fear that prevents the seeing. When there is no fear, there is great energy. Only then you can live with loneliness and realize that you and the loneliness are one and the same. There should be an awareness without any choice. Then it is willing to die and be utterly still. It is the death of the known. Then there is the movement of the new, which is creation. The brain is a fragment and can never understand the whole totality of life. But when the brain is still, the whole, the unknowable, can come in. You must be capable of listening directly. But if you're soaked in tradition, then any statement is responded to by listening to your memory and saying, the holy book said this. There must be a desire to go beyond the mere illusion of words, beyond expressions of thought, beyond all philosophies and sacred books. Then in that experiment, everything becomes clear. The inquiry to find out what is true is surely your own work. It is your life, your sorrow, your misery. You may believe in God, but your belief has no more reality than the man who does not believe. Can a guru, a teacher, book lead you to love? Can you follow another man and be free? You are the entire humanity. You are the manifestation of the vast stream of human consciousness of behavior. That stream has conditioned the human mind, the human brain, which is the greed, envy, fear, joy, pleasure, and all the rest of it. It is in the ending of that stream, a new dimension will come in. You must be earnest in your search. You must be totally aware of the process. Then you will be aware of the conflict and pain. What brings understanding is love. When your heart is full, you will listen to the teacher, the beggar, the laughter, the rainbow, and the sorrow of man. See that loneliness is a fact. The urge to possess a person or property springs from the depth of loneliness. Conflict is the source of disorder. Live in harmony with things around you. Have the freedom required to question, to doubt. Deep within oneself, one must put aside, negate everything without any illusion. Hesitantly explore the meaning of daily living. Where there's any kind of possession of things, there must be the beginning of self. The brain must be quiet, empty itself of all the knowledge that it gathers. Determination, decision of the will, or the desire to enter the sacredness cannot do this. The self is put together by thought and time. Freedom lies in the ending of the stream of consciousness of mankind. Thought can project systems, beliefs, and images. But there is nothing sacred about thoughts or the creations. A man is always thinking about himself, his problems, his experience, his joys, business affairs. This is the limitation of self-centeredness. The idea that each one of us is separate is not an actuality. You are the rest of humanity. The individual identifies himself with the community, nation, race, religion, invariably bringing conflict. Our consciousness is not actually yours or mine. It is the consciousness of man, accumulated over many centuries. In it is the faith, the gods, rituals that man has invented. This consciousness is the self, the ego, the me, and the I, and the personality. As long as this consciousness continues, we are responsible for everything that happens in the world. Religion, accepted and traditional, has brought great damage. But the essence of religion is freedom, love, compassion. Temples, mosques, churches are symbols. They are not the actual. In worshipping the symbol, you will lose the real. Every human being craves for this sacredness. There is a feeling of joy and ecstasy. In that sacredness is the center of all creation. It is impenetrable, unnameable, unknowable, beyond symbol and word. Nothing exists but this one thing. The seeing of this is of the utmost importance. Every moment there is destruction, a total destruction of what has been, so that it can never be. It is this destruction that is creation. Only then the new can be. This is the sacredness untouched by symbol or word, beyond measure and time. It has to be seeing. This is an extraordinary world. You don't seem to realize it's a marvelous world, the earth, beautiful, rich, and the glory of the land. But human beings are set to kill each other for the rest of their lives. You may repeat the most marvelous poems, but all that is not worth a cent if you don't live the teaching.